Hey, welcome folks. Bob here, bobsplumbingvideos.com, and I believe the last video I posted was way back in August 2018. It was about the interior of my 2015 Ford Transit van. I will leave a link to that video in the description box below. Folks, plain and simply, I just got lazy, fell off the horse, stopped making videos for no other reason other than I got lazy. Well, I made a commitment that in 2019 I'm going to start pumping out videos to help you guys out with your plumbing problems. Now, although it is late, it's February 22nd, I'm here and I'm committed to making these videos. Now, this particular video is going to be dedicated to clogged drains. The title of the video is Clogged Drains. Now, it's not an all-out comprehensive video where you're going to see me making demonstrations with a snake and getting under a sink and getting all dirty and getting all filthy. That's not the way I fly. If you want to see that, there are other stations you can get that from. What I'm going to do is I'm going to point out some pitfalls you may be in for should you decide to clean your own sink. You know, a lot of guys decide that they go to the home centers and they buy these neat little nifty tools and they're going to take the drain apart. And everything on YouTube looks pretty straightforward, but what they don't tell you on YouTube is when the S hits the fan, what do I do now? That's what I'm here for, folks. I'm going to point out to you what you could be in for. Then you can make an informed decision as to whether you want to proceed. One more thing before we get into this video. For all you trolls who don't like the way I look, you don't like the way I talk, I drone too long, I'm talking too much, there's not enough information in this video. Folks, YouTube has a wonderful solution. There's a button down there. You can hit stop. You can move on to the next channel, AKA get lost. I'm not here for you guys. I'm here for the people who want to learn. So for everyone else, stick around. I'll be right back. All right, so you determine that the sink is clogged, but before you go crazy deciding to snake it out, this is what I would do. I'd remove this stopper here. Now, it may or may not come out. You may have to go down below. I'll show you that in the next frame, how you remove the rod so you can lift the stopper up. But more often than not, you're going to see a whole bunch of crawdon hair, etc., soap scum. And oftentimes I see people go out, get these cool little doohickey tools from the home centers. They have the little teeth on them, and you could stick this down there, and you could go fishing for squirrel tails, so to speak. I often get a lot of hair out of here, and often the problem is right there. It's right down there in the sink itself, and you don't have to go crazy figuring out how you're going to snake it. Then you can just put the stopper back, and you're in business. So let's go under the sink, and I will show you how to remove that stopper, what you have to do, and I'll show you the next step people usually undertake when attempting to clean out a stoppage. My apologies for the echo, but I am in a bathroom in my facility, and we're underneath a wall-hung sink, and I just wanted to point out a couple of things here. First off, in order to remove the popper up top and check for hair, you actually would have to disengage this pop-up rod here. You'd unscrew this nut here counterclockwise. You'd have to pull this rod back, then pull the stopper out, clean it, put the stopper back in again, and insert the rod back in again for it to work, if it's hooked up correctly. So once you determine that there is no hair, or you got all the hair out and you still have a stoppage, the next step, based on what I'm looking at on YouTube, is people go under the sink and they'll remove this J-bend, and they'll take the J-bend out, believing that there's something caught in here. And I got to tell you, in my experience, I would say 90% of the time, the problem is in the wall. So after you take this J-bend out, you realize there's nothing in here. You put the thing back together again. You turn the water on, and it's still clogged. At that point, you have to take this pipe here that's going into the wall, and you actually have to remove it, look inside. At that point, it's snake time. So whether you proceed or not, that's all going to be determined by what you see next. So we're going to jump on top of the bench. I have a little display vanity up on top of the bench with some piping to replicate what may or may not be inside the wall. So let's go take a look. All right, I got a bunch of fittings here on the bench. Why am I showing you this? Well, I'm going to show you this to basically give you an idea of what you may be facing in the field. Best case scenario, most cases you would hope to have a sanitary tee behind the wall. Now don't forget, you're looking inside, under the vanity, under the sink. All you see is a hole in the wall. You can't see any piping, so you have no idea whether this TY is facing to the right, whether it's facing to the left. If it's facing forward, you can get a little flashlight, look in there. You may be able to see the clog or the top of the water, and then you can proceed to send your snake down. But it's not always the case. This tee may be off to one side. You may have an elbow like this. So you look inside the elbow and you can't see any water on the bottom. That's because it's going over to the left in this case, or in this case, it's over to the right. So that snake now has to go through the elbow and find its way down. But generally, if you have a TY, sanitary TY, the snake will find its way down. Now, alternatively, you have fittings such as this. This is a Y and an eighth bend. Again, all you're seeing in the wall is a hole. But with a Y and an eighth bend, that wire is pretty much guaranteed to go down, which is a beautiful thing. But then we have the dreaded cross TY. The dreaded cross TY, and why I say dreaded, because if it's back-to-back sink connections, you could theoretically put the snake in, and rather than that snake going down, that snake just shoots right across the T and comes out the other end. And in a lot of cases, that's another apartment, or maybe that's a bathroom in your own home, or maybe that's a kitchen sink in your home. Maybe you have back-to-back bathroom connections, back-to-back kitchen and bathroom situations. And you have to be careful when you're putting that wire in, because I've done jobs where I'm trying to clean the sink out and I'm feeling it. And the guy in the next apartment comes running out. He goes, your snake is whacking around in my sink. And I go, oh, okay, we got a cross connection here. So the cross connection is a little bit of a pain in the butt. And it's more of a pain in the butt if you have this type of situation where you have one sink going this way and you have another sink going the other way in this type of situation. And this becomes a nightmare because it's very hard to get that snake to go down unless you're using a specific kind of snake with a drop head on it, and that will go over. Better scenario than this is going to be, again, the cross Y. Cross Y works out much better. Cross Y, either with an eighth bend, which is a 45-degree angle, or if you do have two elbows, one facing you and one facing either your other bathroom, kitchen, or your neighbor's apartment, no matter which way you put the wire in here, once that wire gets into this Y, it's pretty much going down. So this is a beautiful thing. The worst thing you want to come across, in my opinion, is a straight T. Now this is a clean out T. This is used to put into lines where you can put a plug in here and take the plug out and put a snake in to clean out the line. It's usually on the line somewhere. But I've seen guys put these right underneath the sinks. This is what's coming out of the wall. So it's a T. The wire can't distinguish which way to go. It'll just hit the back of the fitting. It'll go up. It'll go down. It may not go anywhere. You may just keep shoving it in, shoving it in, shoving it in. And no matter what you do, you cannot get this thing to clean. So if you have a T inside the wall, it's going to be really a problem. So let's jump underneath a vanity. I got a bench top vanity over here, and I'll give you a couple of different ideas of some scenarios you might not want to run across. All right, so you've determined that you got to go in there. You took the J-bend apart. You took the piece going in the wall out, and now you decide you got to clean it. Now, in a perfect world, we would have a sanitary TY with a vented fixture. This is the air vent that goes up, and this is the drain that goes down. And depending upon what type of snake you're going to use, I generally use a snake with no head on the end, because I generally clean my sinks from the top. I do not take my pipes apart. I'll explain that to you in a little bit. But you would go in there and you would get this wire. The idea is to kind of get it started first before you start getting your machine or your hand crank and start cranking. You want to make sure it's going down. And in this case, you know, you're just gonna have at it with the machine or with the hand crank, and you'll just keep sending this wire in, sending a wire in, and at some point, hopefully, you'll get the stoppage, and that'll be it. But what if you have this next scenario and the wire isn't going down? Maybe it's going into your neighbor's apartment. So stand by. Now check out this scenario. We have back-to-back sink connections. Perhaps you have back-to-back bathrooms, or you have a kitchen sink on one end, a bathroom sink on the other end, or maybe back-to-back apartments. And the bathrooms are all tied in on the same line, so they have these cross T-Ys in here. So you're going to go in here and you may, start snaking, and the next thing you know, this wire is going into the other sink on the other side. So you actually have to look in there with a flashlight to see where the water is blocked, and you should be able to see the water, and you're gonna have to maneuver this snake and get it into a point where it actually goes down. A lot of times, I've myself have found my snake coming out of the opposite sink, and it's a little more difficult to get going down, especially if you clean sinks the way I do. I clean them from the top. My whole theory is I want the water to be able to run after I get the clog, so I can flush everything out. When you clean them out this way and you take all the pipes out underneath the sink, you're kind of cleaning it out dry, and you really don't know whether you have it, and you're not going to find out until you pull the wire out, pull all the pipes back together again, fill the sink up, only to find out you didn't get it, and then you have to repeat the process. And that becomes messy because every time you pull that wire out, it gets crazy. So this is the cross T-Y. So you would actually you see that wire coming out the other end there? That could be somebody's sink. So let me give you another scenario that may be difficult and may make you think twice about trying to do this yourself. All right, here's that dreaded crossway in a different position. It's actually not facing directly front or back. It's facing sideways, and you have a couple of elbows. Maybe that sink going in the other direction there over on the left is going to your kitchen sink. Maybe it's going to your neighbor's bathroom sink, whatever the case may be, in which case you should be using a drop head, and this is a drop head, one type of drop head. They make several different drop heads. They make, big heads that dangle off the end without having this extra piece of wire. But I just purchased this, and so you're going to go in there, and the best case scenario is you want to get it to go down. You want to kind of guide it down, and you're going to kind of finesse it, and hopefully, you got it going in the right direction. But more often than not, guess what happens? Take a look over there on the left, folks. Guess what? You're in your neighbor's sink. And your neighbor's going, "What are you doing? I hear the wire in my sink. What's going on?" Welcome to cross fittings, folks. So this is the downfall of cross fittings and trying to get that snake. You got to finesse it to go down. You got to get it to go down, and you may be under there, and now don't forget, this is nice and clean. It's nice, pristine. I'm up on the bench. You're under the sink, there's black stuff all over the place. You're getting filthy. Your wife is probably telling you, "Would you call a plumber? What are you doing this for?" Anyway, let's move to the next scenario. A little better, actually. All right, now here's the best scenario you can run across. A cross Y. With two elbows, makes no difference. Two elbows, 245s. When you have a cross Y and you got a drop head, you can pretty much guarantee that that snake is going down because of the pattern of the fitting. This is going straight down, baby. Right down the drain. There it goes, baby. We're going all the way down. Beautiful, beautiful thing is a cross Y fitting. But bear in mind, folks, you're looking under the sink. You see a hole in the wall. You can't see none of this. So you have no way of knowing what's back there. You don't know if you have maybe a TY sitting in there. You don't know whether you have a cross TY sitting in there. You don't know if you have a straight T sitting in there somewhere that somebody put off to the right or the left. and you're under a sink. You're pulling the wire in, you're pulling the wire out. It's filthy, it's full of black gook, it stinks, it smells. You get in the bottom of the vanity, stinky, dirty. Your wife screaming at you, "Are you crazy? Call somebody to do this. What are you doing this for?" This is what I wanted to make you aware, folks. Before you jump into stuff, and after you watch all your YouTube videos, they tell you how to do things when everything goes textbook. I'm here to tell you, nothing goes textbook. Just keep that in mind. All right, here's one situation I hope you never run across. It's a straight T, meaning it's not a TY, it's not a Y, it's just a straight T. It's actually a clean out T. They're made to be put into lines where you can stick a plug in them so you can put a snake in somewhere down the line, but guys use them. They put them under sinks, and, you know, I don't know why. Maybe they don't know any better, but it's going to be very difficult, especially for a guy like me who cleans his stoppages from the top down, because I like to have my water running. But once that snake goes in there, if you don't have a drop head, you have no chance of getting in this thing. The wire is just going to hit the back of the T, so it's going to keep bouncing off, you know, and you really got to have a hard time. So you really got to look in there with a flashlight. And if you don't have the drop head type of cable, you will use a plain cable, which looks something like this. And you're going to have to put like a little bend on it and try to get that wire to go down. So you can get your pliers and put like a little bend on it and try to get it to go down. But straight T is not the way to go. It's not the way to install a drain. You know, at minimum, TY, sanitary T. Best case scenario, Y fittings. Even better, long turn TYs. And that's pretty much my explanation of what you may find on the wall. Now, I'm going to jump back on top of the bench. I'll give you my explanation as to why I clean the sinks out from the top as opposed to cleaning them out from the bottom and making one big mess. Real quickly, guys, I just want to let you know that 90% of the stoppages I do it from the top. I'll take the little poppers or the plungers out from the basins. I will take the basket strainers out from kitchen sinks, and I will send my snake in through the top of the sink with the pipes connected, and I will negotiate the P-trap with my snake, and then I will proceed to go ahead and clean it. Reason being is, once I get that blockage and I knock it out, now I can turn the water on, flush the line as I'm retrieving my wire, and that also aids in cleaning my wire as I'm pulling it back into the machine. And, you know, FYI, after I finish pulling my wire back, I pull the wire out of the machine and I roll it up. I don't leave my wires inside of my equipment because they'll just end up rusting. But it's very rare that I have to take the lines under the sink apart. But if I do, I do. And if I have to go through that pain in the butt of doing a dry stoppage, that's what I call it, where I send the wire in and then pull it out, put everything back together again, and I keep my fingers crossed that the water goes down. But if I can, when I can, I always leave the lines intact. I go in through the top. And again, with a drop head wire, it's a little bit difficult because the drop heads are rather large and they really won't negotiate the sink strainers or the bathroom, you know, when you pull out the stopper, they're actually too big to negotiate the traps. So most times I will buy a wire with a spring head on it. It's a spring head that's already wound into the snake, and I actually cut it off. So I'm just dealing with a 1/4 inch by 25 or 35 foot wire, and I'll put bends with pliers in it to kind of bend it so that when it hits the fitting, it finds its way down. But if you're going to use a drop head, if you find you have a problem fitting in the wall, such as you just witnessed, you're going to have to take the lines apart and then send the drop head in and do a dry cleaning, and that's just the way it is. So just wanted to mention that little tidbit. And again, I want to thank you guys for watching. So there you go, folks. A little insight into drain cleaning. At least now you're aware once you start getting involved. If you feel you're getting in over your head, you can make that decision to bail out and perhaps call a pro. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got a little bit out of it. I hope you learned a little something. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. I have a hit list of videos that are in production. Again, I'm going to do my best to get as many videos as I can up in a month. I mean, ideally, I'd like to do once a week. That may be a little tough to do. Maybe one every 2 weeks for now, and then maybe I can get it up to one a week. But I'm glad you guys stopped by. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to my channel. I suggest you hit that little bell down there, and that'll give you notifications of when a new video comes up. And I know there hasn't been a new video since August, so hopefully I didn't lose too many viewers. I hope to see you guys again soon. And as always, you know what I like to say, folks. Happy plumbing.